Hello, and welcome to the weekly reading. This week, we definitely are having that feeling of entering the holiday season with Sun stepping into Sagittarius. I'm almost certain, have Thanksgiving in the US this week, or I think it is this week. Anyhow, so I have brought in some really lovely holiday oils, holiday blends that doTERRA make, Holiday Joy and Holiday Peace, which I absolutely love. The one is very sort of cinnamon and spice and gingerbready, Holiday Joy, and the Holiday Peace is very beautiful pine foresty vibes. Also, the bringing in of the colors, the greens, the reds, and the arrow for Sagittarius. Well, I'm using my wand as an arrow. And then just to keep our brains balanced, some beautiful fluorite. Okay, and this week we also have a bonus card that's come out. So you're going to want to choose a card between 1 and 5, and you may even want to choose a primary and a secondary so that you can see which is your bonus card for the week. Now, the main energies that really feel, especially looking at the cards that have come out, pertinent are the energy of Sun moving into Sagittarius. I think it's on Thursday. And then Mars moves in on Sunday, I think, and into Sagittarius as well. So Mars and Sun are still traveling quite closely together, which they don't do very often, only every few years. And as they travel together into Sagittarius, we really feel the shift into the holiday season. Here in the Southern Hemisphere, we can feel the summer coming, which is how we experience the Christmas season. And for the Northern Hemisphere, I'm sure you're feeling the cold coming in. But the smells and nature and all of these things are starting to reflect the holiday season. And also, as they step into Sagittarius, they make a square to Saturn in Pisces, and that feels very, very much what we're seeing in this reading. So have you picked a number or two between 1 and 5? Let's jump in. Whoop, here's the whole reading. And we're going to zoom back now. I mean, look at these two. I'm almost certain they both came up last week or the week before. They've both been very present of late, the 5 of Swords and 7 of Swords. We also have another 7 here with the 7 of Cups. And I don't think we've had Cups much lately. And even though we don't have a Wands card here, because we've got a Pentacles, 2 Swords, and a Cups, we've got the Sun, which is the ultimate in fire, which is Wands' element. So we've really got all of the elements represented here. Now, we start with the Sun upside down, and I think the main reason that this card is upside down is that there may be delays in celebration, shall we say, or we're getting in our own way. And I think that second one is more likely, is that we're all starting to fall into, or those of us who are watching this reading anyway, fall into imposter syndrome or poverty consciousness or any of those things that build us into a sort of anxious mental spiral where we can't actually enjoy ourselves, because the Sun generally is obviously this humongous source of light and joy and energy and growth and all things really positive. Upside down, there's a reason that we're not allowing that entirely. Sometimes these delays are for our own good, like perhaps we are planning our holidays and we are thinking about the things we're going to get done, but we're not there yet because we're planning and preparing. And that in itself is not a problem. But I do feel like a lot of this is coming from us being in a bad headspace, getting ourselves, especially because we've had those Swords cards coming up so strongly of late. I mean, there's a whole deck of cards. How is it that the same cards pop out and pop out and pop out? And this is just, it always blows my mind, even though I've been doing this for so long now, that there will be certain cards that will just show up. And often this is also like for a season. Not necessarily a literal season, but for a season in our lives where we're going through something collectively. In this case, it's collective. It can also, oh, sorry, I'm gesticulating and I'm making shadows. Yes, so in this case, it's collective because we are doing a collective reading. And then obviously you pull that more personally in by looking at your own card, and you also do that by looking at your own life experience. So why is this delay does this delay in celebration and joy feel present to you? Is it just the delay of the fact that we're not quite at the day of whatever festive holidays you represent in your own culture? Or is it because you don't almost feel deserving? And then the Seven of Cups is very much about, how do I choose? Which one, which way? How do I know? Maybe this one's going to bring what I want, but maybe it won't. And well, if I chose this one, and we just get ourselves into such a muddle. And water is a very intuitive element. And if we're finding, especially with this upside down, it's not trusting your intuition, not trusting yourself to make a decision. So there's a lot. And then straight into the Five of Swords there. I don't know. I can't think. I mean, you can see both of these two people on the card. Just turn this one around for a minute. You can see that they're both kind of like uncertain. This guy, he's got more of an intuitive feel to things, but he's not really doing a great job of it right now. In fact, he's really second guessing himself, especially as it's upside down. He's not tuned into his intuition, probably because he's stuck in his head. And our intuition is more of an inner feeling. And in order for us to be able to kind of get into the flow of that intuitive feeling, we need to get out of our wired brains, out of our wired nervous systems, where we're always in that fight and flight state. And from that sort of state of panic, we can't hear that intuitive voice. So these two are telling me that we have a very big sort of disconnect at the present moment with our head-heart space. And you know that again, if we bring that to the kind of holidays concept, I've got to plan for everything, be prepared for everything. Do I have enough money for everything? Have I packed everything? Have I booked tickets for things? All of that. Instead of, the slow down, the tune in, the feel the heart open to the fact that you may be connecting with family or friends or taking a much needed rest or whatever the case may be. But now it's all the indecision that's coming from all the indecision. So there's indecision in both of these cards. And also, am I financially secure enough, especially because we've got that card at the end? Am I capable? Am I competent? Am I good enough? So it also may be things that you're tying off at the end of a year. Any work projects that you're leaving, have you left them in a space that you feel like you didn't complete them the way you wanted, or any of those kinds of things? And maybe you don't take leave around this time, you're working through and you're feeling frustrated with that. Other people are doing this and that and the next thing, and you're stuck trying to get this thing completed and you're not good enough. Or those are the narratives. I'm not meaning that you're not good enough, of course. And then, of course, we've had this caution of deceit card coming up so much with the Seven of Swords. And as I say, two sevens are a little tricky, as you can tell. So here we are going, okay, so this deceit thing is still showing up. So if you've been watching my readings consistently, you might say to yourself, what did I think the deceit was about? How is that showing up in my life? Or did that take me completely sort of off guard? Was it something completely different? Or do I really not know? Because whatever you took it to may not have been the thing, which is maybe why the card is coming up. So, for example, if you decided I've been deceiving myself, I need to make some decisions, which we can see here, and I need to change something so I'm no longer so anxiety-racked, then you might say to yourself, well, since this card keeps coming up and I have been making certain changes, which hopefully, if that was your assumption that it was your self-deceit and you have been doing the work, then you need to say, okay, do I need to up-level that? Do I need to work more at that? Or maybe it's not even about me. Maybe I need to look at the people in my life and say, who is it that may well be deceiving me right now? And can I look at that objectively? Because the one thing about swords is they do tend to be able to get more objective. Not when we're in this kind of space where we kind of just can't even think straight anymore, but they're emotionally detached to the level of being able to be objective. Whereas when we're in our water cards, our cup cards, it's sometimes really hard to have an unemotional, objective view on things. But I definitely think we do need to be looking at what is causing my anxiety, or who is causing my anxiety, and what is the undercurrent? What is it that I know that I don't really know? So, or that I can't tap into. So it feels to me like there is an intuitive knowing that wants to show up for us, that wants to give us these cautions, these warnings, these guidance things about go down this stream in the river. Sorry, I'm making shadow again. I'm a big gesticulator. Apologies. Go down this chute rather than this chute of the river. And our intuition wants to tell us, but we are letting our head lead. And that beautiful concept of remembering that our Our head is the servant to our heart and not the other way around. Obviously, when we get really stuck in our heads, then the head can't hear the heart, who is actually the master trying to guide us true. There is a lot in this reading also about authenticity and being true. And I mean, I think the real answer here is to follow your bliss. So if you're undecided, if you're unsure, follow your bliss, which is, I recently found out actually a quote that is attributed to Joseph Campbell, who does the work on the hero's journey, which I'm a huge fan of, but I didn't know that was his quote until just recently. And I think that is really the answer here, because there is so much, I'm not good enough, I'm not ready, I can't manage, I can't cope, what if, all this fear and anxiety and feelings of not enoughness. But if we follow our bliss, and if we be true to our hearts and open-hearted and move forward from that space, it's not to say we won't be hurt and wounded along the way. And again, think of that hero's journey. I mean, I speak of it often when we talk to the Major Arcana, and this, of course, is Major Arcana. So it's not all going to be plain sailing, even if you do that, but there will be less guilt, there will be less shame, because you will know that you're coming from the space of your heart. And I really love the Four of Pentacles, which was our add-on card that jumped out as well as it ends this reading, because, and I don't always love the Four of Pentacles in a reading, I've got to tell you, but today I'm loving the Four of Pentacles in a reading because it's saying, come back to basics. That four is like a building block, and this is a practical Pentacles earthy four. It's saying, come back to basics. What can you handle? What can you manage? What can you control? And get grounded, get practical. She's also looking forward, although her eyes are closed. So that also brings in an element of intuition. When the eyes are closed, we see without seeing. And so she's like, how do I protect what I have? You can see her holding on to her purse. How do I protect what I have? How do I build one step at a time, one building block at a time? And I think that is exactly where we are not. We're getting caught up in the overwhelm here of, I don't know how to get there. It's too much. I'm not enough, etc. And here it's just come back. Just breathe. Slow down. Get grounded. What is in my control? What is out of my control? Close my eyes. Breathe and tune into what is my next right step. I've actually just noticed she has a ruin earring. I must look up that ruin. I don't know my runes very well, but I've just recognized that for the first time. Anyway, I think that this week has a lot of potential for us if we can turn this up, the sun right way up, and tap into that abundance that is our birthright. Build slowly, stay grounded, and then trust that all this tumultuous stuff in the middle is here for us to learn a little bit more about ourselves and how to recognize where the deception is, whether it's self-deception or deception from outside of self. Recognize that adulting is not always easy, making decisions is not always easy, but it is better when done from the space of our heart. And as long as we're following our bliss and true to our own heart and authenticity, then we really cannot go astray. That doesn't mean life will be perfect. That doesn't mean it will be easy, but we cannot be made wrong energetically if we come from the right heart space. So even when we make mistakes, if we're doing it with the right intention, and if we continue to hold ourselves accountable to that, that's another thing. We will always make bad decisions and stuff ups in our life in times, but if we continue to hold ourselves accountable and ask ourselves those practical questions about, why did I do that? Where did that come from? Was that the right thing? Was that the wrong thing? Can I course correct? Do I just need to stand in that? Do I just need to apologize? Those kinds of things. If we're continually in that space of questioning ourselves, adapting, pivoting, and for the most part, being as open-hearted and authentic and truthful as we can and following our bliss, then really we are right on track. So I'm sending you so much love this week, and I look forward to seeing your comments, and please like, share, subscribe, follow, and thank you for your time. Have a beautiful week.